Hey everyone, thank you for joining me today for this video. Today I will show you how I keep my acrylics from drying out while painting and also how to keep them wet for up to around 2 weeks. So I use this plastic container with a lid that I found at the dollar store, and I just pour in some water up to around this much. I then use some paper towel that I fold together 2 or 3 times. I fold it a little bit at the sides as well so that it fits better into the plastic container, and basically let it soak in the water. I guess you can also use scissors to cut it according to your palette, but I'm usually too lazy to do that, so I just fold it a couple of times. Now I grab some baking paper or parchment paper, depending what you call it, and I cut it according to the size of the palette. I put this on top of the paper towels and my palette is already done. Now when I start painting or applying the paints on my palette, I don't have to be worried about them drying while I mix them or while I am painting. Whenever I'm done with a painting session, I simply put the lid on top of the container, which turns the palette basically into a greenhouse, since the water is trapped in the container and can't get out anymore. The extra water from the bottom and from the kitchen towels will also keep the acrylics wet from underneath, so that they won't dry out when you're mixing with even very, very small amounts of paint that usually dry super quickly on other palettes. Every couple of days, let's say 3 to 4, I apply some more water to the palette again with a spray bottle, which can definitely make the colors a little bit more watery and less opaque. Now, I don't mind that usually, but if it is a problem, I will just apply some more fresh paint to the palette again. This also heavily depends on what brand I'm using. Some paints stay wet for much longer, while others get dry very, very quick. But also some paints get much more watery and thin when you apply a little bit more water, so sometimes it's not so predictable about what's gonna happen. Obviously I can't speak for every brand of acrylic paint out there, but so far this technique has worked for all types of acrylic paints I've used so far. The consistency is a little different, as I said, from brand to brand, but nonetheless they are all still usable. Without a wet palette, my acrylic paints usually dry so quickly that they get basically unusable at the end of a painting session, or even turn dry while I'm still mixing them. I didn't like acrylics for that reason, because I felt like I'm wasting too much paint that just dries before I even had the chance to use them. But since I started doing this, I really grew fond of acrylics, and now they are my favorite medium. I know that acrylic paint mediums and retarders exists, which makes your acrylics stay wet for longer if you mix them together. I have never been much a fan of those, however, since I like how quickly acrylics can dry on your painting. So this is definitely my preferred way of keeping them fresh. So I hope this was helpful to you. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you're having a beautiful week.